You know, the single biggest lie we tell ourselves is that confidence is something you wait for. I'm telling you to stop waiting for permission to succeed. I'm going to show you the 3 intentional psychological shifts that can instantly program your brain to operate with the unstoppable focus of the main character. Just let that sink in for a second. We're taught that confidence is the result of achievement. It's the prize you get after you've already won. It's like being told you can only get a map after you've reached the destination. I mean, it's a total catch-22, right? And it keeps so many brilliant people stuck. We see it constantly. The entrepreneur who won't launch until it's perfect, the artist who won't share their work until they feel ready. But how are you supposed to take the bold actions you need to succeed if you don't have the confidence to even start? The truth is, we've got it completely backwards. Confidence isn't earned. It has to be adopted first. It's the requirement, not the reward. It's a performance you choose to give every single day. So how do we actually do this? Well, we're going to break it all down in a 6-part framework. First, we'll dive deeper into that confidence paradox. Then we'll pinpoint your invisible enemy. After that, we'll install the main character system itself. Think of it as your new operating system. We'll get into the science of unstoppable to see why it works on a brain level. Then we'll get super practical with an instant action protocol you can use today. And finally, we'll talk about what it really means for you to start becoming the main character. All right, part 1, the confidence paradox. This is the big misunderstanding that just sabotages so much potential before it even gets off the ground. Waiting is passive. You're literally handing over control of your success to some imaginary future moment when you'll magically feel ready. But the world doesn't reward passive, it rewards action. Waiting for confidence is a passive strategy. And let's be honest, in a competitive world, passive strategies always lose. And this right here, this is the core of it. Waiting for confidence is like a pilot standing on the runway, refusing to get in the cockpit until the plane is already in the air. It's absurd when you think about it. It makes no sense. Success is a disciplined performance, and like any great performance, it's all about rehearsal. Main character energy is you making a conscious choice to step into the role of the person who succeeds, long before you get any applause or external validation. It's a proactive, psychological shift, not just a reaction to what's happening around you.
Okay, so if waiting is the wrong move, what's really stopping us from acting? We gotta diagnose what we're truly up against, Before you can install a new system, you have to understand the old, buggy one that's running in the background. This is your invisible enemy.
So the main obstacle is really this toxic cocktail of 2 things. First, imposter syndrome, that nagging voice in the back of your head telling you your successes are just luck, that you don't belong, and that any minute now, everyone's gonna find out you're a fraud. And that partners up with something called low self-efficacy, which is just a fancy way of saying you don't believe you have what it takes to get the job done. It's a brutal 1-2 punch. I'm a fraud, and I can't do it anyway. And this isn't just a bad mood. It's an invisible wall that blocks you from taking the risks that are absolutely essential for any real growth.
Now check this out, because this shows that this is a narrative problem, not a talents problem. Over on the left, you've got the paralyzing script. When you fail, it tells you this is a flaw in me. It makes failure personal. So what do? You avoid risks to avoid that pain. And you end up relying on this fragile motivation that just evaporates at the first sign of trouble. But look at the right side, the empowered script. Failure isn't a flaw in you, it's a plot point. It's a necessary scene in your story. Risks aren't something to fear, they're the only way you grow. And you don't wait around for motivation. You build a system for persistence.
All right, so we've diagnosed the problem. It's a broken internal story. Now let's install the solution. And let's be really clear, this isn't about chanting empty affirmations into a mirror. This is a precise 3-part framework designed for real identity transformation. It's built to replace that fragile, fleeting motivation with a rock-solid system for generating consistent, unstoppable action. These are the 3 pillars of your new operating system. They all work together to build a kind of psychological fortress. You've got identity affirmation, then a relentless process focus, and third, the narrative reframe. Let's dive into each one. So, pillar 1 is identity affirmation. And this is a huge shift. We're all conditioned to focus on the what, the tasks on our to-do list. I need to write 1,000 words. But the main character focuses on the who. I am a disciplined writer. You feel that? The difference is massive. The first one is a chore. The second is just who you are. This taps into the power of what James Clear calls identity-based habits. When you affirm the identity, every little action you take becomes a vote for being that type of person. It makes doing the hard work feel natural, not like a constant battle.
Pillar 2 is all about a radical shift to a process focus. I mean, think about it. The outcomes, getting the job, making the sale, having your video go viral, all of that is filled with stuff you absolutely cannot control. Focusing on those things just creates anxiety and kills your momentum. But the process, the actual actions you take, that is 100% in your control. The main character commits to what we call maximum process adherence. Your goal for the day isn't to hit a certain number. Your goal is to follow your process, say making 50 calls between 9 and 11 a.m. perfectly. That's it. This generates real, undeniable wins every single day that build unstoppable momentum.
And pillar 3, this is your psychological immune system, the narrative reframe. Because let's get real, you're gonna have setbacks. The old script interprets that as proof you're a fraud. But the narrative reframe actively rewrites that story in real time. A tough critique from your boss isn't a personal attack. It's crucial intel for improvement. A failed launch isn't the end of your story. It's the second act twist that makes the final victory that much sweeter. This isn't just about feeling better. It neutralizes the emotional sting of failure so you can bounce back and learn instantly.
So that's the system. Affirm your identity, focus on the process, reframe your narrative. It sounds good, right? But now let's get into the science of unstoppable to understand why this actually works. This isn't just a collection of clever mindset tricks. It's a strategic way to get your brain's core motivation systems working for you instead of against you. This framework systematically pulls 3 incredibly powerful psychological levers. First, it directly activates self-efficacy, which is just your brain's belief in your own ability to get things done. Second, it reduces amygdala activation. The amygdala is your brain's threat detector, that source of the fight or flight feeling. We're going to turn that way down. And third, by doing those 2 things, it creates a powerful action bias, reprogramming you to take initiative by default instead of hesitating.
So the really cool part is how this creates a self-reinforcing confidence loop. It starts with a manufactured belief. That's your identity affirmation. That belief fuels persistence through your process focus. That persistence generates small, tangible wins, like just sticking to your schedule. And those wins provide real evidence that makes the new identity feel real. You start by acting the part, which leads to actions that get results, which in turn makes the identity your reality. And this slide really nails that second mechanism, calming the amygdala. Think of your amygdala as your brain's overactive smoke detector. When you're running on imposter syndrome, every little challenge feels like a 5-alarm fire, and that alarm is constantly blaring. This floods your system with stress hormones and basically shuts down your prefrontal cortex, the CEO part of your brain responsible for smart thinking. By adopting this main character persona, you reframe challenges as interesting plot points, not threats to your survival. This calms that alarm, freeing up a ton of mental energy for deep, focused, strategic work. Okay, this brings us from theory to practice. And this might just be the most important part of our whole discussion, your instant action protocol. This is exactly how you put this system to work, starting the second this explainer is over. There are 3 simple, non-negotiable steps to bake this into your day. Think of it as your daily checklist for activating main character energy whenever you need it. The identity swap ritual, the proactive narrative reframe, and a laser focus on the process. Step 1 is the identity swap ritual. Before you even start your work, just take 5 minutes, say your desired identity out loud in the present tense. Something like, I am focused, calm, and decisive. Then, and this is key, you have to anchor that statement with a physical act. This creates a real state change. It could be as simple as fixing your posture, sitting up straight, shoulders back. It could be putting on a specific watch you only wear for deep work. It could be taking one deliberate, slow breath. The act itself isn't as important as the intention behind it. You're creating a powerful mind-body link that signals, okay, performance time. Step 2 is your go-to tool for setbacks. The second you feel that sting of failure or you get some harsh feedback, you have to immediately ask yourself this question. What lesson does the hero need to learn from this scene to win the final act? This question is like a psychological pattern interrupt. It forces your brain to skip past that emotional, self-pitying response and jump directly to strategic analysis. You become the director of your story, not the victim of it.
Finally, step 3, focus on the process. And please, don't try to change everything all at once. That's just a recipe for disaster. Instead, pick one single system, maybe it's time blocking the first 90 minutes of your day, and commit to 100% adherence for just one day. Here's the key. You have to redefine what success looks like. Success for today is not, did I finish the whole project? It is simply, did I follow my process? That's it.
This guarantees you end the day with a win, which is the exact feedback loop your brain needs to start believing in this new identity. So let's pull all of this together into your core mission. What does it actually mean to become the main character of your own story? This is the ultimate takeaway. Confidence is not some fixed personality trait you're either born with or you're not. It is a high agency choice. That means it's a choice that puts you in the driver's seat of your own psychology. You make it every single morning. You don't wait for permission to succeed. You adopt the identity of a winner, of a focused performer, of a resilient hero first, and then you let your behavior rise to meet that powerful identity. So here is your mission if you choose to accept it. Don't just file this away as interesting info. Become an active practitioner. Tomorrow morning, before you do anything else, practice the identity swap ritual. Just once, 5 minutes, state your identity, anchor it with a physical act. That is your first real step to taking control of your own narrative. So remember, main character energy solves that core problem of self-doubt and fragile motivation. And why this matters so much is that it gives you a systematic way to activate your own self-efficacy and persistence on demand. The framework of identity affirmation and narrative reframing works because it literally calms the fear center of your brain. That frees you up to think strategically and creates a powerful, self-reinforcing cycle of success. In the end, productivity isn't about doing more. It's about mastering systems that make focus effortless.